Aron did a fantastic response to a video by Kreeft, and I urge you all to check that out. Nonetheless, there are a few things I wanted to add.
Is it rational to believe in God?
No.
Belief in God is far more rational than atheism. Logic can show that there is a God.
The only circumstance under which logic can show anything other than the relationships between words and ideas is when used in combination with empirical evidence.
A good place to start is with an argument by Thomas Aquinas, the great 13th century philosopher and theologian. The argument starts with the not very startling observation that things move. But nothing moves for no reason. Something must cause that movement. And whatever caused that must be caused by something else, and so on. But this causal chain cannot go backwards forever. It must have a beginning. There must be an unmoved mover to begin all the motion in the universe.
Wait a minute, didn't he just say this?
But nothing moves for no reason.
So nothing moves for no reason except for this one apparently magical thing that can totally move for no reason. Kreeft kind of oversimplifies Aquinas' argument here. Aquinas said that things which go from potentially moving to actually moving must be set in motion by something that is in an eternal state of actuality, and that is God. However, if that is God, why is it that God has only been actualizing his eternal movement powers for the past 13.7 billion years rather than eternally? Kreeft also said this.
But this causal chain cannot go backwards forever.
Why not? There's no logical problem with the idea of a sequence with no first term.
A first domino to start the whole chain moving, since mere matter never moves itself. A modern objection to this argument is that some movements in quantum mechanics, radioactive decay for example, have no discernible cause. But hang on a second. Just because scientists don't see a cause doesn't mean there isn't one. It just means science hasn't found it yet.
I agree that the fact that we don't see a cause doesn't mean that there isn't one, but we can't assume that there is one either. Maybe there's some unseen cause, maybe there isn't. But we simply cannot say that mere matter never moves itself, especially when there are cases when it certainly looks like it does. And what does mere matter even mean? When Kreeft says mere matter, he seems to simply mean non-magical matter.
Maybe someday they will.
Maybe they won't.
But science will never find the first cause. That's no knock on science. It simply means that a first cause lies outside the realm of science.
Any assertions that are not true by definition and which lie outside the realm of science also lie outside the realm of usefulness. Science is all about finding ideas that allow us to effectively predict experience. It can only deal with ideas that have this power to predict the consequences of antecedent events. Since that's the case, synthetic statements which lie beyond the realm of science are, by definition, inconsequential. Belief in God is simply pointless from the view of science. Such a belief can't be put to any epistemic use. It tells us nothing that can help us prepare for or manipulate the circumstances in which we live.
But what if the universe were infinitely old, you might ask? Well, all scientists today agree that the universe is not infinitely old.
No, not all scientists agree. Scientists like Alan Guth believe that it is likely eternal.
That it had a beginning in the Big Bang. If the universe had a beginning, then it didn't have to exist.
Wrong again. The fact that something began to exist does not mean that it didn't have to exist, because that beginning could conceivably be a necessary beginning rather than a contingent beginning.
Now, add to this premise a very logical second premise, the principle of causality, that nothing begins without an adequate cause. And you get the conclusion that since there was a Big Bang, there must be a Big Banger.
Again, we don't know that this is true. And even if it were true of things within the universe, that doesn't mean that it is true of the universe as a whole.
But is this Big Banger God? Why couldn't it be just another universe? Because Einstein's general theory of relativity says that all time is relative to matter. And since all matter began 13.7 billion years ago, so did all time. So there's no time before the Big Bang.
Well, if there is a multiverse, then it's not actually the case that all matter and all time came into existence 13.7 billion years ago. It may simply be the case that all matter and time in this universe cannot precede the Big Bang. It may still be the case that there is time and matter in these other universes.
And even if there is time before the Big Bang, even if there is a multiverse, that is, many universes, with many big bangs, as string theory says is mathematically possible. That too must have a beginning. An absolute beginning is what most people mean by God.
I highly doubt that if you asked most people what they thought God was, that they would say God is an absolute beginning.
Yet some atheists find the existence of an infinite number of other universes more rational than the existence of a creator.
Yes, we know that at least one universe can exist, so supposing that more of them exist is a lot more rational than supposing the existence of a disembodied mind capable of existing independent of time and space. I think we have some pretty conclusive evidence that at least one universe can exist. We don't have any evidence that a disembodied mind can exist.
Never mind that there is no empirical evidence at all that any of these unknown universes exists.
There is at least as much evidence for the existence of the multiverse as there is for the existence of God.
Tempo! Eita porra! Tá, da caixa.